What is up, YouTube? This is Brandon at the Movies here, bringing guys a Blu-ray update. It's been a little bit since I have posted. I apologize for that. I know I've had also my Nightmare on Elm Street review series not come out. Just been just been busy, especially with work the last few weeks. So so I have some actually free time to actually post stuff. So I'll be posting this. I'll do a Nightmare on Elm Street review at some point. I might even do my Maxine review. That's the plan, but we will see. But this is my Blu-ray update. This is over the last few months stuff. I do got a bigger release. I have one other release that's coming in the mail. And I'll get to that when I get to this specific one. And I'm pretty sure I've already posted about it on my Instagram, but it will be here in the video because I do want to talk about it. So let me get into more of the PG to anime stuff before I get into some more of the some more of the non-horror actiony stuff, because most of that's what this is. So yeah, so the first thing we'll get into is Good Burger 2. This is the sequel to the nostalgia, the hit of in the early 90s, 1996, I believe was the first one. I believe. Love the first film. Though obviously there's now with what happened with Nickelodeon, and obviously Dan Schneider. That one, it's not as looked upon, or it's a little more because he's in the film and he was a producer. Obviously, because that was a part of his skit on all that. But this one has nothing to do with Dan Schneider. He's not involved whatsoever. I haven't finished this one yet. I haven't even opened the Blu-ray, but I saw a little bit of it on Paramount Plus. From what I liked, I get what it was going for. I enjoyed I enjoyed it for what it was. From what I saw, it's definitely, I think the way it's shot just feels too new. And I hate saying that because I think you don't, but it doesn't feel like the way it's shot a little bit. I think once you're in Good Burger, I think you have that feeling it's Good Burger. There's just moments in certain areas that because I'm pretty sure this wasn't even shot around the same area. I'm pretty sure this was shot in a different location than the original one was. But it was good to see Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell. Kel is definitely really still holds it. I think Kenan, while I don't think he's, not there. I think there's moments where it just feels like, I think they didn't try hard with Dexter's character. I feel like they kind of go back to his kind of default character. They kind of felt they made him go back to that kind of same character he was in the first one, but just older. Which I feel like I wanted a sequel where you didn't go back to that to a degree. I get what they were going for, but it just feels like it's just doing the same thing a little bit, just a little differently. It does have you get two cameos from the original cast, or three, which I wish I had more, but it does have a few special features. Home of the Good Burgers, the extended version, the Comfort Food Classic, behind the scenes with Kenan and Kel, meet the employees, Q&A with the new crew, employee training video, and the Good Burger 1 movie recap. So yeah, this one was because it was a Shout, I think it's a Shout Factory release. Yeah, it has the documentary, and they deleted storylines on it, but this was a nostalgia also. Thomas and the Magic Railroad. This one I remember watching when I was a bit older than my little brother. We're about 7 years apart. Well, actually, no, technically 8 years apart. No, 7 years. Yeah, 7 years apart. And he had this, and we would watch it together all the time. And just knowing that there's actually some behind the scenes stuff that happened, that there was stuff that was cut and things like that, which was really interesting. Again, it has the documentary with the writer, producer, director Britt Alcott. Um, some deleted storylines. So if you were a fan of this movie or you were a fan of Thomas, I think it's worth having. Um, like I said, again, this is more of a nostalgia thing. And it's nice to have on Blu-ray. But yeah. Well, the special features, you do have the Return to Shining Time with the writer-director, Hello, Mr. Conductor interview with Alec Baldwin, Finding Your Sparkle with interview with Mara Wilson, which these are not, I think with hers, it's a voice interview. I think with Alec, I think it's a newer interview from what I remember. I don't think it's newer. There's something about this place interview with Didi Khan, the Sounds of Sodor interview with composer Homie, behind the scenes reel, a deleted storyline. So now we're getting to a couple of the animes. This one I just recently picked up, and that is Digimon Adventure 02, the beginning. So I don't know if they're going to start doing a series on this. So if you don't know, there's 7 actually Digimon animated movies that came out. 6 of them were part of is one big huge storyline, and then the other one was called Digimon Evolution: The Last Kuzan. I hopefully I got that right. In which they were much more character development and had much more grand and more darker elements and more life meaning elements, especially with Last Kuzan, which was the last time. Once you get older, you start forgetting who your partners are, and there was only a certain amount of time left with your Digivices for your every time your Digimon Digivolves, it takes away your time left with them, which was the Digimon Evolution, which is a hard one to go back to, not because it's not good, but because it's really a goodbye to that cast and to that group, and to show that what we had as kids eventually, it changes, and it goes, and it kind of feels like, Digimon Tamers were in that last, and not the growing up, but that they were only there to help them stop what was happening, and then they went away, which is a kind of a realistic element, I guess, but in a way, kind of, I didn't want that. Like, to be fair, it's one movie. It's not connected to the Digimon Adventure, which is like Reunion and all those, which I don't think those are perfect, but I think they're pretty good. My biggest issue with those is how they pretty much screw over Digimon Adventure Season 2, the group with Davis, Ken, Yoli, Cody, Kari, and TK. And this one I really liked. I really like this. This one I feel like does have rewatch value, but it still has that some dark elements to it. I mean, more of a or human and life element. And so it's about them learning of this kid named Lou, who says he's the first Digidestined because he met a Digimon called Yukumon. That he was able to wish for things, and he's the reason why the Digidestined existed, and not how we learned in the previous seasons. Now, again, you can take that for you will. I don't know if they would say that's I'm assuming it would be technically canon, so because it's after the fact, so, but I know it's a little weird for that to now suddenly, and it's supposed to show, was it just being wished together, or did we mean, like, did the partners that was meant, while they were wished together, it didn't mean the relationships weren't part of it. But what we learned about Lou is why he wished for friends, because there is and when I'm saying dark, and this is like he was abused by his mom. They don't go deep into why. There's something with his father, not healthy. He's in a hospital at home. He's in bed. His mom has to but there's some um, moments where you're like, well, this feels like, well, this isn't a Digimon movie, which again, because in the Adventure Tri series, it deals with a girl who had her Digimon partner gets corrupted, and eventually, yeah, I won't get into how it ends with that, but it is a definitely interesting take, and you get to see all these characters again, and where they're at. And my only biggest issue with this is the voice, especially with the Digimon voice casting. Like, Armadillo Man, not the same. I'm like, how do you go from come much more of a thicker adult voice, honestly, to something that just sounds squeaky, and I'm just like, now I don't think all the voice actors could get together, or I'm not sure. I think they got Davis and Kens and Vmons were probably the most closest to theirs. And again, it's supposed to be, remember, they're supposed to be 12. This is 10 years again. So again, voices are going to change. It's not going to be the same thing. So I get that for sure. I think the only character in here that you really don't get much development is really Cody. But I mean, everyone gets their time, to be fair, to speak and whatnot. But I think Cody is the one that's really is not as interesting. But I like I really liked it in how they were trying to help Lou, and they're trying to go through this, and again, it's not action oriented. I think the biggest action set piece is towards the end of the film. So again, with these ones, they're not going to always be, there's going to be action, but it's really a character development story, which I do really appreciate added to this franchise, because I think it just makes it even much more deeper. And I really truly enjoy this one. I do definitely recommend Digimon Adventure 02, the beginning, if you have not checked this out. Definitely. It does have a special introduction from the director Tomomiya Takaguchi. Hopefully I pronounced that right. So next couple animes I picked up are very good ones. Now this one is called Golden Time. It tells about a story about Tada Banri, who's starting his first day of law school, and he meets a friend named Mitsuo, a guy named Mitsuo, who becomes his friends. But then his friend Mitsuo's childhood friend, an arranged bride, Kaga, appears, and that's how this starts, where the fiance is attached to Mitsuo, is always looking for him and stuff like that. But then her and Tada get closer, especially because Mitsuo doesn't see his childhood friend like that, which her name is Koka. And eventually, like I said, Banri and her get really close. But eventually you get to realize that there's much more trouble in Banri, whereas something happened before he got to law school, where he was in an accident which left him with amnesia, and from there on he goes to law school right after that situation, pretty much. And throughout you see a ghost version of him. You see the Banri who just remembers the high school stuff, and especially another character comes into here that was a childhood friend, but he at first, I think eventually he kind of remembers. I won't get into much more of that, but it is an emotional, especially the last, I think 5 or 6 episodes. I think it's the back half of the series where it's really gets emotional with Bada, where his because his memories start to come back. If the original Tada memories come back, he won't remember anything about the memories he's made with his friends and Toka, and that does really get emotionally with Toka, and that does get a little frustrating. There's a scene that happens and you're just like, oh my god, you're just like, or 2 scenes that you're so frustrated, but understandably when you watch it and you get to certain you understand why she reacts the way she does, even though I wish it could have been in a more, I don't know, it was, out of those two moments, I really did enjoy this. I think it's a really really good series. It's, do you have some, I think you do have some fan service anime moments, but this is much more story based, more than like the humor, stuff like that. So going into that, I do definitely recommend Golden Time. Again, like I said, definitely probably one of my favorite animes now at this point, and it has a rewatch factor. It's pretty cool. I like anime that you can rewatch. Rewatch. There's a lot of my anime I've been getting, and it's so much rewatch value. Next we got Clan Yed. And this is one emotional piece as well. It's about a guy named Toma who has been trying to Tomoya who lost his mother and lives with his drunk dad, and they don't really connect at all. He meets this girl, Nagisa, who's damaged as well, but she's dealing with a fragile health, which will get even more expanded into season 2. And you see it throughout in first season, and they all go through these different stories with these different characters as well, emotionally. But it's just about these two growing together. Because she also has a dream to relive the school's Forgotten Drama Club, and Tomoya decides to help her out to find new purpose in the. And then there's another character that's tied to Tomoya, which is pretty sad and tragic. And then there's another character that you'll see that also has a kind of there's a sad that they try to help this other character. Again, I don't want to get into spoilers, and it's a really beautiful series. And there are some time things that do. There's some things that go on outside of the storyline to a degree, that I don't know how to explain it. It has some time, otherworldly stuff that can eventually you'll see where it goes. But again, outside like with that, it's still a really damn good anime. Again, it's emotionally charged, and they do have those humor moments. They have Tomoya's friend who's just goes and picks on this girl and he tries to like fight her, and she always kicks his ass. So you get stuff like that too. So it's but yeah, definitely would recommend this if you haven't checked it out. I believe it is on. I don't think this is on Crunchyroll. I do think it's on. I don't know if it's on High Dive, but if you have a chance to find this, I would recommend it. Okay, so let's see. We got Mr. Baseball. This is a baseball movie that I remember watching a few times on TV. This kind of selfish guy played by Tom Selleck, who plays for the Yankees, got traded but to a Japanese baseball team, and he has to learn how to become a better person, pretty much, and in a different league in a different country, and learn about that, and then also falls in love. It's kind of cheesy, but I like those good cheesy baseball movies. And it's nice to have it because this does not have a US release, but this is a US, so you can watch this on a regular Blu-ray player. It's technically a foreign copy. No, I wouldn't say. I guess it's a maybe UK copy, I would say, because it has all. So I don't think there's probably any special features. So I guess this also. Next we got Dune Part 2. This is easily my favorite film of 2024 so far. This movie just did what that first movie did even better. Like, and I really like that first one, but this goes. It does have a bit more action, but the drama, the stuff with Paul, where eventually it he doesn't want to go down this path, but eventually it's leading him down that path, especially with his mom, played by Rebecca Ferguson, who is scary in this movie. Like, I don't want to fuck. I wouldn't want to fuck with her. You know, the stuff with him and Zendaya and how eventually, you know, that's, you know, kind of, you know, they do change that bit from the book, from what I know. The cameo role that you see in this film is really good. Josh Brolin and Javier Bardem is really good. Javier Bardem is really funny. You know, the visuals are so beautiful. It's a really damn good movie. I definitely would check it out. And I'm someone who, I haven't read the book, so I'm not as connected, but I still really like this. Really still easily the best film of 2024. At least for me, in my opinion. It's, again, just an opinion, but it's so far my best film so far. Next, we got the Spider-Man trilogy on 4K. I didn't have... I gave a friend my Blu-ray copies because I was eventually going to transfer it to the 4Ks, but I never did. So I figured I'd pick it up. I wish they were the separate ones. I don't care for collection purposes, especially if you're not going to put a slipcover on this. This is definitely one that I should have came with a slipcover, but whatever. I mean, this is the original Spider-Man trilogy. Had to have it. I really only think one film in this franchise is great, and that's Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 1 is okay. I still have some issues, mainly just I'm not a big Tobey Maguire as Peter fan. I like him when he's in the suit. I'm not a big fan. He's too dorky for me. And I know Peter's supposed to be a bit dorky, but I don't think... It's a little too much. I don't think we even get enough of his, you know, really intellect. It just feels... I don't like his chemistry with Kirsten Dunst. I just think it doesn't work. Especially when we get to Spider-Man 3. Like, Spider-Man 2 does it really, like, the best. But 1 and 3 just don't know how to... I don't like it. William Dafoe is great, though, as the Green Goblin. You know, James Franco, I think, does a really good job as Harry. Kristen Dunst, again, I think it's just a mixed bag. I think she's good in 2. 1 and 3, I could care less, to be honest. I'm just not the biggest Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane Watson fan. I mean, they're all visually impressive. The effects are really good. 3 is the worst in my opinion. I'm glad there's people that are fans of that one, but I just think the way they handle Venom, and that's not Raimi's fault. It's a mix of like, you could say Raimi should have tried a little bit more in that. But to be fair, that is also on the studio. They forced him into that because Venom was the more popular character. And obviously, I think all of us would love to see Venom, but then the way they cast Venom, I know it's supposed to be based on a version of the character that's kind of the same or kind of same look as Peter, and I didn't care for that, especially who they cast. They cast the guy from the 70s shows, and no disrespect to him, I think he's a good actor. I just don't think he was fit for this role. Yeah. I don't know if there's any special features on this, so can't say. And this is one that I just finished just watching for the first time because I just got it in the mail, and that is Michael Jackson's This Is It. This is the tour that he was supposed to come back for his after 13 years, but unfortunately died in June 9th, or in June, or it was like about a couple weeks before it was supposed to happen. So I think it was June 25th or something, and his concert was supposed to be July 8th. And this just goes into details of them making and everything, and doing some of the ideas of what the show was supposed to be, this big huge spectacle, and he got a lot of his classic songs in there. I mean, it's really good to get to see behind the scenes and how he worked, and just to really show how talented he was. Now, um, um, now we get the biopic next year with his nephew, which will be really cool to see how that turns out. But yeah, if you're a big Michael Jackson fan, that's definitely. I think the Indians my favorite because they play. I think the black and white segment I really liked. I mean, I liked a lot of this. I think it's just really interesting, the thriller stuff. But the emotional, where it gets really emotional, is actually really the end. It's the man in the mirror segment. I mean, because the way it ends, obviously, it's more of a. It was like it's a goodbye at the end, pretty much, which I get. But it's a really interesting documentary and what could have been if he didn't pass away. But yeah, so you have 2 making of documentaries, 3 featurettes, The Gloved One, Costumes, Memories of Michael, and Auditions, Searching for the World's Best Dancers. You got Thriller and Smooth Criminal vignettes presented, Making Smooth Criminal featurette. And then you got that movie IQ. Okay. So next we got Bug, which is just recently came out for Imprint. It's about a woman who falls for this guy who ends up being kind of paranoid, and he thinks the government has set him up and put bugs in him, and that's all they can see. And they start getting this they kind of fall into this paranoid relationship with each other. Ironically, which there is a, because they're dealing with, because he was discharged from the army, discharge ran away. She lost her son about a few years ago, and she like 10 or like a few years ago, and then she stopped looking at him for a couple of years. And her ex-husband just got out of prison, played by Harry Connick Jr. She's dealing with that. This was based on a play by Tracy Letts, who also wrote the script, and it's directed by William Friedkin, who directed this and directed Exorcist, but he also directed another play that was called Killer Joe, which is a much more movie. This is just a paranoid with some horror elements for sure. It's not. I know the way they sold the trailer, they sold this as a true horror film, but it's more of a drama with horror elements in it. And there are gruesome moments, especially when the paranoia starts to hit on Michael Shannon, who's terrific. Ashley Judd is terrific in here. Harry Connick Jr. just it's whatever. Because he plays the stereotypical character, and it's just like okay. It's a character I don't care about. I liked some of the sound designs they did, especially with the helicopter going by, where you're not sure if it actually was, but it's only they can hear it. The way the movie opens, and with all this, tinfoil, and the way it's shot with the blue lights. The scene with the tooth. Oh my god! Like, this is worth checking out. It's a really solid film. I think good performances, terrific direction. The performances alone are worth it. So you get audio commentary by William Fregner, audio commentary by the author, film historian Troy Hogworth, Tony Strauss. You get a discussion with William Friedkin, and Bug and introduction feature, which is pretty much like behind the scenes. Next we got The House That Jack Built. This one I just recently watched, and this is a pretty good one. It's about a serial killer played by Kevin Dillon, who talks about 5 different situations in his 12 years that he killed, with a character named Verge, that you don't see until actually towards the end of the film who Verge looks like, and it details in each way he kills. And this is about art. He wanted to be art attacked. He wanted to build his own house. and you can tell he's so OCD and everything about it. So he has to make sure everything's clean and stuff. And it's and each time it starts to get worse, especially in I think the fifth one, the fifth act, is where it just stumbles apart in terms of his killing. The one that was the most fucked up one was the third one, where he actually kills a couple kids, and the mom, and the what he does to that one of the kids. At in that same, I think, segment, obviously. Also, there's one with a girl and her. I mean, it's all really messed up in how he thinks, and just he looks as art as something that humans don't understand, and that he wants art is worth saving. Elements of like that I'm trying to get. Kevin Dillon is no, it's not Matt Dillon. Sorry, Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon is terrific. He plays this character with confidence. There's a brutality to him. There's a egocentric. There's a, and he obviously there's some yeah, it's just really good. And like just the opening first one with Uma Thurman, and you could just tell like he does not like her, and how annoying she is, and how he sees like it is, and it's gruesome. I'll say that. Is it over the top? Like it's definitely for an art house art house type film, and this is definitely art house. So this is not going to be for everyone in terms of that, because the way it's shot, and sometimes in some of the this is the way the guy who directed this did Antichrist, which I think is a terrific, also another that's even more, I think probably a little bit more, even more messed up. I mean, both movies are messed up. In the way this movie ends, I watched the director's cut, so I don't know how different the theatrical is. It's a minute long, but I'm assuming they trimmed some stuff out of it to make it a minute less. But the ending, and how it ties all together, and where it becomes, I loved. It's one of my favorite endings of a film like this, because I don't think I was thinking that was the way it was going to end, but it's really good. I do recommend this one, though. It's a slow burn. It is it's 152 minutes, so about 2.5 hours. 2 hours 36 minutes, I think, or something like that. But yeah, so there's a theatrical and a director's cut. This one has theatrical cut and a trailer, and the director's cut has the interview with the director Lars von Trier. So I would definitely recommend that one. Tales from a Hood is a horror anthology that has a social commentary with it. It's about these three Stackball and Bulldog, who are trying to retrieve a lost drug stash held by but it ends up being found by a mortician, and he tells these three multiple stories of tells of these stories of these other people, and how each were affected by, it deals with social commentary. Like the first one is about police brutality. One is dealing with a racist who moves into a slave's house, and then they have these dolls come to life. There's one where it deals with abuse. That is a monster, eventually physically and mentally, in that. There's one that is even more, that really ties in with these characters. That one is about a guy who is given a chance to change in a way, but he won't. And I know there's another one. And the way this movie ends, is one of my favorite things. The guy who plays the mortician, Mr. Sims, Clarence Williams, one of the more iconic characters, or guys to talk about, like, just really the narrator slash, I don't know how to explain it, but he's just so good in it. I mean, you also got Corbin Benson in this film. You got David Allen Greer. Um, so this was executive produced by Spike Lee. But yeah, this is definitely one worth checking up. I know they did Tales of the Crypt 2 with Keith David. I heard mixed to bad things on that one, and then Tales of the 3 with Tony Todd. That one I don't see as much, and it's harder to find a physical copy on that one for some reason. But yeah, I hope I did my best to really get into this. Let's see. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think on that. This one I haven't watched yet. It's A24 The Killing of Sacred Deer. I can't wait to check this one out. I'm a fan of Yorgos Lanthimos, who just did Poor Things. I know he has a new one, Kindness, out. Haven't watched that yet. And also The Lobster. So I've liked 2 of his movies so far that I've got to see. So I'm pretty sure there's something about this I will like. Even though he does make they're weird and different, which I do appreciate. So let me know what you guys think of this. It does have a special feature, Impossible Conundrum. And before, let me get back to the special features for the Tales from the Hood. You got the making of Tales from the Hood, featuring interviews with co-writer director Rusty Cundiff, co-writer producer Darren Scott, actress Corbin Benson, Wings Hauser, Anthony Griffith, and more. Audio commentary with Rusty Cundiff, finished featurette, theatrical trailer, and TV spots. Next, we got Silent Night with Joel Kinnaman. That's directed by legendary director John Woo. This tells about a guy who is he witnesses his son's death, and he gets he's recovering from a wound, and eventually he decides to take on to avenge his son, and it's no speaking whatsoever. And it's a very bold way to go. It's only 104 minutes, so it's not too long a movie, but I think to a point there is something about a movie, like, you get why he can't speak. I think what they could have done is had some other people speak while he doesn't, but I guess that's not the selling point of it. It's called Silent Night. I went to the theaters and saw it. I liked it. It needs a rewatch, but I do think the you know, when you have a quiet, like, why Quiet Place kind of worked, why Quiet Place worked more than this, I think because that movie had an intensity, and it was kind of, you know, it was different. It was not, it felt, I guess, more real than this, but I mean, I don't know. There's a difference why one, because they made that world, I think, is they made a world where it felt like, okay, this is happening, you cannot speak, whereas this wasn't a world like that, because you hear music. It's just they made a stylistic choice where no one speaks, you know. So that there's a difference, I think, into why Quiet Place works. That first one, where Silent Night doesn't quite work as well, because it's not part of the world. It's just this thing where outside of the main character, where he can't speak now. Everyone else should be able to speak. They're just not. Next, I found this at my local FYE, and that is Insomnia. This is one of Christopher Nolan's earlier films. This is a detective serial killer movie with Robin Williams as the main villain. This was something I definitely was glad to find, because I didn't expect to find it. I forgot this even had a Blu-ray release, so it's nice to have in the collection and be able to rewatch it. It's been a while since I watched, so I don't know what to say from what I remember liking it, but again, it definitely needs a rewatch. Has additional scenes, commentaries with director Christopher Nolan, commentary in order of shooting sequence, actually. Hilary Swank, production designer Nathan Crowley, editor Dodie Dorn, cinematographer Wally Pfister, and screenwriter Hilary Sainz. Four featured Day for Night, making the movie, a conversation with Christopher Nolan and Al Pacino, and The Fog, cinematography, production design, Eyes Wide Open, The It's the Insomniacs World. Yeah, I still haven't taken out of that package, but I will. Next, we got the Oldboy 4K. This is the original 2003 film, not the remake. I really dug this. I think this is definitely better than the 2012 film, especially even with the dark ending, the twist ending, where what you find out. I still think I prefer how it happens here than the remake, because the remake does add in a little more to it, which it seems even more fucked up. Well, this is still a fucked up ending where, you know, I won't spoil if you guys don't know what it is. But it's about a guy who's kind of who's been drinking, has been in the cop, gets, you know, acting like a drunk idiot. He gets kidnapped and is in prison for 15 years, and he has to figure out why that was. So he's released, but he does all this training and stuff like that, and goes to find, and he teams up with this girl to find out who would have done it, and eventually it does tie into him finding out why and who, and it is more gritty. It's definitely brutal and intense, and it has this grimy, gross feel to it at times, and I like the way it's shot. So yeah, I do really appreciate that. You do also get a feature-length documentary about about the making of Oldboy. You got a bunch of special features. But yeah, it is something I came out of the. Forgot to put that in there. But yeah, definitely would recommend this one. All the special features right there. I don't know if you're gonna see it, but next we got a Korean horror film. This is the Wailing Horror Mystery. This one I do really like it. I did really like this one as well. It is definitely weird. It's a supernatural mystery. It's disturbing at times, and the way it ends is it's a very dour film. While with some humor moments, you think it's going one way, but it tries to trick you two times. You to think one, oh wait, that's who it was. Oh, and then you're like, oh wait, and then it does that to you, and it's because there's a hysteria because all these people are dying, and brutal outbursts, and then this cop's daughter is falling under it as well, and it's just so hard to watch, and you're just like, what is going on? And eventually when you do find out, and it just, oh man, I would recommend it. It is a long one. It is 2 hours. Okay, this one is 157. This is 2 hours. I think this one's 2 hours 36 minutes. The other one was like 2 hours 32 minutes, I believe, for The House That Killed Jack. So this one, it didn't feel like 2.5 hours completely. And it might be slow moments, but I think it's still enough to where it didn't bother me. But yeah, I would definitely do recommend it. It does have a beginning of the beginning of the Wailing, making of, and a trailer. So with the new version of this movie coming out in pretty much the end of August, I picked up the original Crow on 4K. Of course, this is an iconic, legendary film that is cherished. Obviously deals with the loss of Brandon Lee on the set of making this, so this is pretty much everyone's favorite Crow film. I think most people would have this as their favorite. This is definitely my favorite, and I'm still excited for the remake, reimagining what you want to call it. I know people are not, and part of that is because they don't feel like it should have been, but I don't think it's going to be the same. It's not going to be told in the same way. The visual style is already different from what Alex Proyas was, and I know there's a writer who came out and said it was unwatchable. I think, look, if you're going to come out and say something that's unwatchable, I really think that's really stupid to say, even if you don't like the film, and that's Not saying he shouldn't like should not be like, oh, I don't like the film, but to call something unwatchable, that is so, that's not a fact. So I just think telling people, hey, this is unwatchable, don't go watch this. If you also read that, also that was he wrote an earlier draft of a script of The Crow. I think one of the versions that obviously that didn't happen. So to me, I think there's a little bitterness in that. I'm not saying The Crow 2024 is going to be better than this, or it's going to be the greatest thing I've ever seen. I just feel like when you tell someone something, tell people, come out and say something that is unwatchable, I'm like, okay, that is just an opinion. It's not a fact. There's things that I don't like, but I'm not going to say it's unwatchable. Like, I'm not a big fan of Zoolander. That's an example. I don't think it's good, but you know what? I'm not going to say it's unwatchable, because there's people that do like that film. I don't think it's unwatchable. I just think it's just, again, like I said, it's just not good. I don't think it's funny, but I'm not saying it's unwatchable. The things I would say are more unwatchable are probably the more, and I don't want to even criticize, like, it's like, say something's unwatchable, but like, some of the, Epic movie or something like that, or the Starving Games, or like those ones. I feel like those are, if you're going to criticize one thing being unwatchable, it might be those, because some of those are just hard to watch. There's someone I can't finish. They did a one called Superfest, which was I could only get into 10 or 15 minutes of that. Those movies are meant to be that way, but at the same time, those are the ones I would say are probably the most unwatchable. But even then, I don't want to even say to say anything is unwatchable, But I know I'm going on around, but I still think you should be excited for The Crow 2024, because I think it's gonna be different enough outside of the name Eric Draven, but that is The Crow. They've tried 3 different Crows without Eric Draven, and I like Salvation, actually. So I think Wicked Prayer, let's not even talk about Wicked Prayer. God, that was something. That's, I still say not unwatchable. It's watchable in the sense of it's still, yeah, that one I can't. Yeah, I think that one's the one I would say of the Crow films is probably the most unwatchable. But yeah, this one's so iconic. The way it's shot, the gothic horror element to it, Brandon Lee's performance, just terrific. What else there's to say? But I want more Crow films. Like, if we can get more Crow films, and hopefully this one does well, we could get more. Like, I like this. I like the idea of The Crow. Like, come on, let's do more of these. I wouldn't have a problem. It has a new Shadows and Pain designing The Crow sideshow collectibles, an interview with Edward R. Pressman, and then it has from the Blu-ray, I'm assuming, audio commentary with Alex Perez's audio commentary by the producer Jeff Most and screenwriter John Shirley, behind the scenes footage, a profile on James O'Barr, extended scenes, deleted footage, montage, and a trailer. I know this video is getting too long, I'll go a little faster. Next we got the Inside remake. This is the remake of the 2008 horror film Inside. This one is not as gruesome, and it's a little more, they made it more, I'll just say this, it's a lot better than Martyrs. This one feels like the way it's shot, and it's shot with really good cinematography. It still has, it feels intense enough even without the gore, a lot of gore. I think it's still effective in the way it's shot. I do think your main character in here is a bit more likable, and I think that's a problem. Even though I think I still enjoy the original film, the original one is one of my favorite extreme horror films, one of my favorite horror films. So I still did enjoy this, and this is actually, it was nice to get this Blu-ray because it came with the slipcover. But yeah, it's hard. It was hard to track this one down a bit. It's easier to get the Martyrs one because that was released by Blumhouse. Was just whatever. But yeah, I don't think this has any special features. but Rachel Nichols is probably the main actress here. So let me know what you guys thought if you have checked out the remake. So next couple ones I have not seen. Hills Run Red. This one, no, I have seen a bit of it and I liked what I saw so far. I just didn't get to finish it. I think it was really cool. I like the look of the killer, so and that the story idea of it, I really like. 8mm with Nicolas Cage and Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah, this one, and it's directed by Joel Schumacher. This one has a bunch of special features. And this one has an interview with producer Joel Schumacher, audio commentary, making a featurette. So let me know what you guys thought of these. Next, we got Urban Legends Final Cut. This one I prefer over the original because I like the story, because it's at a film school and they're getting killed off one by one. I mean, you got Eva Mendes, Anthony Lawrence in it as well, which is Joseph Lawrence. Again, I haven't watched this in a bit, so and it's also co-written by Scott Derrickson, so that's really also cool too. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this. This has new interviews with actress Loretta Devine, Jessica Caulfield. Oh, I think she was also Jessica Caulfield. I think she was in Buffy. I don't remember. I believe. You got also Rebecca Gayheart, producer Gina Matthews, and audio commentary, making of, and stuff like that. Now, this was I wanted to re-add the original edition to the collection, and that's Halloween 2: Rob Zombie, one of my favorite horror movie of all time, my favorite Halloween movie of all time. So I know not a lot of people will agree with that, but I don't care. I think this is great. It's dark. It's tragic. It's brutal as fuck. It doesn't paint around any quarters. And the way Rob goes with the PTSD route, and it's Laurie's story with Michael in the background, but Michael's still there. And the way Michael goes about it, he walks around and he's not wearing his mask until he needs to. I really like that aspect. I like the cinematography. I like it was shot on, I think, 16mm. And it's not as graphic dialogue. While that didn't bug me in the first movie, but he really goes down and much more. He tones it down in terms of that a little bit. Outside of the Richard Brake scene, but even then wasn't bothered by that. You got the stuff with the horse and they explained that in the beginning of the film. The way the shot in the ending, now I know people complain about him saying boo or he's saying die. Again, I get people's issues, but again, it's a director's cut. It's his take on it, and it didn't bother me like a lot of does, and I like the way it ends with all three of them, and it's playing Love Hurts in a much more tragic way. It's beautiful, and the way it's shot and just the emotional you have. Everyone is great in here. Scott Taylor Compton, probably her best performance to date. Danielle Harris really kills it as Annie, and what they go through together, and how really the reason why Laurie's mad at her is just because she's mad at herself for what happened to Annie, and Annie is trying to be the mother figure in a way, but she just can't. Especially here in the director's cut, is a lot more volatile with them. And then her dad, played by Brad Dourif, he's trying to hold it together, but he can't. Then you have Malcolm McDowell's Dr. Loomis being kind of a piece of shit who's just trying to sell this off his book and money, and it's really, there's no happy thing happening in this movie whatsoever, and makes it probably and that's what I really appreciate this take on Rob. What Rob does with a lot of his movies tends to not go in the direction you think he's gonna go. Doesn't give you a happy ending with anything he does. So I do really appreciate what he did here, and I'm glad we didn't get Halloween 3D with Patrick Moussier and Todd Farmer. Now, probably one of the more effed up movies and emotionally twisted, really emotionally impact, and that is Martyrs. This is a hard movie to watch. This is not going to be for everyone, so keep in mind, if you don't like extreme horror, violence, brutality, and stuff like that, it's a really tough one. This is not an all the time watch, absolutely, but it is something I want to have in the collection because I think it's really good and what it's trying to do, but it is not an easy watch. You have to be in a mood to go to watch this for sure, and I definitely wouldn't knowing if I know somebody and if they're not into horror or anything like this extreme, I won't recommend it to them. But I still think so I'll get into it. I think the biggest issue in terms of I think why it'll be a harder watch, why I can't really recommend it in terms of for everyone, is because the last 45 minutes. Because that's where it gets really, the first hour, while it's really bloody and it's really messed up and it's just emotionally draining. This movie's just draining. It's that last 30 to 45 minutes, you're just like, my God, this is just so much of this, and it's constantly the same thing. It's just, and that's where I think people are just going to be like, nope, not in it. I think the first hour you're like in it because the story's going on, the characters you're following, you feel for them and what they're going through, and then just here you feel for the character, but I mean, what you're watching is just, it just feels like a bit too much. But there's a reason to what it's going on, but again, the reasoning may not be likable for people, or you wish there was more to it dialogue wise. It's really no dialogue in the last 30 to 45 minutes, and what you're enduring, it is, yeah. It has audio commentary by film historian Dr. Lindsay Hellman, BFI at Home, horror a la French online panel with Anya Bodzowski, Alexandra West, and Dr. Lindsay Hellman. Organic Chronicles, The Making of Martyrs, interview with director Pascal Longier, makeup interview with Bennett Lestain, new French extremity trailer reel, stills gallery, and international poster gallery, theatrical trailer, and Easter egg. So yeah. Next, we got the Guyver 4K Restoration Limited Edition 4K. What makes this a big deal is it has the R-rated cut. They new 4K restoration of the original R-rated 35mm camera negative on Earth Films, presented original in its 185 aspect ratio. That was very important. Also, I mean, you get a new slipcover. It's 4K, obviously. I have the Arrow video release of it, but again, I didn't know if we were ever going to see the R-rated cut, because there is Guyver Dark Hero, which still hasn't got a Blu-ray release. I would assume. I don't know why that hasn't got a Blu-ray release, but hopefully that gets a 4K release soon, because that was an R-rated cut, actually. I haven't seen that one yet, but I've heard it's pretty decent. But the different actors in that movie that take over for the character of Sean in that one. But you got some really well recognizable characters in here, especially Mark Hamill and I forget what his name was, but you also got Screaming Matt George and Steve Wang, who did the character designs and the special effects. Freaking crazy ass. And also, like, if you look at the DVD, the DVD poster, it has half of Guyver and half of Mark Hamill. People, I'm assuming, thought Mark Hamill was going to be the Guyver, but no, he just plays a cop. But yeah, this is really good. This is based on an anime manga, which I actually have the Blu-ray series, which is a really good series, by the way, about these aliens coming to Earth, and this kid finds this thing that that gives him the power of the Guyver, which is an alien suit, because there's this corporation that, you know, they're human, they're in human form, but they're actually Zoonoids. That metamorphose into monstrous sorcerers called Zoonoids, and they can turn people into them, and it's really crazy. And the makeup is just incredible in this. So, like I said, you get new commentary with co-director Screaming Mad George and Steve Wing, moderated by Don O'Brien, the author of Budget Biomorphs, the making of the Guyver films. New commentary with actor SFX artist Ted Smith and Creature Sublab tech manager advisor Simon Wett, supervisor Wyatt Weed, and there's other new interviews and stuff like that on Blu-ray, and you get a soundtrack too. So I think that was really cool. Very underrated movie. I do really like it, and I like the anime, so yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Now the big release I just got in. So now so that is Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 collector's edition from Umbrella. I'll read the back of the box. I know we're at our end at this point. It's a twisted perversion of beautiful children's stories. No respect for anything sacred. People have to tarnish everything. That is Brendan Pike, not even beautiful childhood storybook characters who helped shape us into who we are, safe from modern depravity. The existence of the films is heartbreaking. Mark Wolf, I think this is also trying to tell you from, I think these were probably done on purpose, just to show the idea of people, how ridiculous people are. What happened to my boy Winnie? What the fuck, making childhood storybooks into horrors? There's gonna be nothing left for kids to even watch or read with soon without being terrified, brah. It's just funny. That's because there are people out there who make this ridiculous thing. This is gonna ruin your childhood. Oh my god. But yeah, this is the cover. Don't much I can show of that. So here is the Blu-ray front cover. The special features are behind the score, behind the scenes of Pooh, audition tapes, interviews, death scene extended, on-set footage, behind the scenes on set rave. The discs in them. And there's a double-sided poster. I'm not going to take that until I know what I'm going to do with it. In terms of, like, am I going to hang it? There's also this little storybook. Just getting an idea. Which is pretty cool. And then you get these also like poster cards of like from the movie. Just really cool stuff. But yeah, this was the big release. This was also number, and they also on these collectors they do give you this number of, because there's like 2,500 total. I had number 777 of these, so which is really cool. I didn't get the first movie's collector's edition, unfortunately. I did get the Blu-ray and the 4K of the first one, but the 4K without the without the box, obviously, in the cards. But I did pre-order the 4K from Germany, so that's should be coming soon. Should be shipped soon, hopefully, the next few days. But yeah, I was excited. I do plan on watching this in a little bit. I haven't watched it since the theaters, and I know it's on Amazon Prime, so you can rent it for $12.99 or buy it for $20. But because I bought this, I've been waiting for this. This was about $45, 55 plus, ended up being like $60, I think. Because it's also shipping from Australia, so keep that in mind. I think it was like 45, but also plus it's like $16 shipping. So keep that in mind if you want to get this. But yeah, like I said, this is a really cool edition. But Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, definitely a great time. It is a huge step up from that first movie. As someone who didn't mind the first one, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I had my issues for sure. I understand some of the complaints, especially with the story with Christopher Robin and the five girls really not connecting with each other. It felt like two different films in that way. Story plots that just didn't fit together. I know the makeup and the costumes and stuff weren't the same like with this one, where they had a bigger budget, and then obviously they're starting the Poohniverse universe. They just finished filming Peter Pan Neverland Nightmares. They finished filming Bambi already. They're starting on Pinocchio. They're starting on Poohniverse in early 2025. They're going to do, I think, Sleeping Beauty or Snow White Returns. That's the last thing I heard. Something that was announced, but yeah. So this is all the stuff I got. Let me know what you guys. I hope you guys did enjoy my pickups. This is movies at the Brandon at the movies. Signing off. Peace.